What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Turbo John YouTube channel. I just got down here to Randy's shop, RJ Motorsports and Collision. See Randy's hot rod lurking in the background back there. Hopefully his motor will be soon out of the engine shop and we'll have that thing out racing. But we're working on mine today, so we just got it pushed in. Actually, we drove it in. It's amazing to not have to push it in, but to actually drive it. So we're going to work on this thing, see if we can figure out what the problem is. If y'all saw the last video, I appreciate all the comments. We had two videos from where we were out testing the aerials, and it was a disaster. Car was bouncy, 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 bouncy. Like, over those two videos, most comments ever, over 200 comments on each one. I appreciate everybody giving us suggestions. I appreciate everybody looking at it to see what you think the issue is. And if you look through the comments, everybody has a different opinion. It was kind of funny, and it's us too, because we really don't understand. We don't know exactly what's going on. We're all struggling. One of the comments will be, hey, you got too much air pressure. The very next comment would be like, hey, you got too little air pressure. And then shock settings was the same way. It's too stiff, it's too loose. So we got an issue, clearly. So everything we did, we tried to make it work, and we're moving bar angles and all this stuff. We put a stiffer back spring on it. That may have not been the right move. We started with a 60-pound spring, but we're going to scale it out today. We're going to take the spring off of the shock. We could have a shock that's bad. We could have an inner roll bar that, as it's trying to go up, it's maybe binding up somehow. There's no telling. So we're going to go through all that basic stuff today. And I did, thank goodness, I've got some good friends. I got a lot of good people that watch the channel. I appreciate everybody pitching in ideas, because there's a lot of stuff that I didn't think about, and there's also a lot of things that I didn't know. And so I did talk to some of the professionals. I talked to Big Chief. I talked to Jason Terrell at 10 Soldiers Race Cars. So we've been in contact with a lot of people, getting ideas, and we've got a lot of things that we're going to see what we're going to figure it out. That's the bottom line, is we're going to figure it out. We had a track outing where it was bouncy, and we're going to figure it out. We're going to make it work. And let me show you what we got going on today. Comment, like, and subscribe. If y'all want to support the channel, head on over to turbojohnracing.com. If you have not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you a thing. Work through our issues with us. We share everything on our channel, so we try to make it so when we screw it up, you won't screw it up, or maybe your combination, if it's a little different or similar, you can still learn something from the channel. Appreciate it, guys. Hang on. All right, guys, like I was saying, we got a lot of help. We got a lot of input from a lot of people that have done this before, and a lot of people that are, you know, they want to see us succeed and want to see us go fast. So I can't thank them enough for doing that and taking the time to leave the comments. All of you guys, anybody that left comments, it's all important, and it always strikes in my head things that I don't think about. So one of the things we talked about a little bit is we got this thing low to the ground. So it is very low to the ground, and you know, but it is what it is with what we got here. My travel limiters, we got good travel. Now these springs are the ones that Jeff gave me with the TRS Thomas Racing Service. These are the springs that come with these struts. Super long travel, but they're very light. I think it's a 1675. Now this is what I had with my small block. I might need to put a stiffer spring up here. So it's possible that the spring is just not able to hold the weight of the car up. Very possible. John Violet, he sent me a link to the old door slammers, and they were talking about porpoising when the car goes, and this spring is compressing when that one is extending, and then vice versa. And so that is actually exactly what the data was showing. After he sent me that, then we started looking, and that is we got front ride height. And as the front ride height come down here, it went up back there according to the shock data. And we don't have much movement at all in the shock data. This thing is low, so we had a lot of people that said we got it too low to the ground and that we need to raise the car up. Well, it is low, you're not wrong, but this is not normal stuff under the back. So looking at the shock, you can see we're not even close to bottoming the shock out there. Not even close. And you can see a little dirt line up there. Let me see if I can zoom in to where you can see it. There's a dirt line right there. That's the old zippy tie method, but it's dirt, and essentially that's about how much it's compressing. So we were getting shock data bouncing between about 3/4 of an inch is essentially what we were getting. Now our anti-roll bar has got a lot of angle on that bar coming back. It's kind of hard to see it. I don't think that's an issue, but we may have to potentially move that mounting location to the front of the rear end, possibly. I don't think that's the problem, but I mean, looking at it, it doesn't seem like anything is binding up under here. But what we're going to do, We're fixing to go put it on the lift now. These are 110 springs, and I've got some 60s, and it was even with the 60s on it, it was porpoising some when we were at Kinston, but it wasn't as bad. So we're going to go take the springs off of it, put the shocks back on it, then I'm going to stick the jack under here or whatever we got, and I'm going to make this thing bottom out those shocks. And we're going to go all the way up, and we're going to check to make sure, you can't really see it in there, but make sure that there's no wishbone bind, make sure nothing is happening with the bar angles, and just make sure nothing is actually binding up. I don't think it is, if it's what it feels like. But now we also got to weigh this car. We hadn't weighed it with all the body panels on it and all the bits and pieces. We know it's 2,600 pounds. It's 2,620 pounds, race ready with me in it. Now, if y'all remember, we put some weight in the car. So this is the weight. We put it back here on the chassis. That's 57. I think that was about the same. We put basically like 120 pounds back here under the back bumper. And so, yeah, so we're working on it, guys. We're gonna figure it out. That seemed to make it better. The shock settings, when I was playing with the shock settings, I may have went the wrong way. We were trying to tighten it up when we thought it was just surging the spring, but in reality, it may have not been allowing the shock to work at all. If the shock's working, I mean, we could have a shock that's bound up. I don't think it is, because you can see that one over there has got a pretty clear dirt line. You can really see the dirt line on it where it is kind of working some. So we may just have too stiff of a spring, possibly. Something else I learned. I would spend a lot of time on Sunday reading about bar spread on the rear end. And so I got some suggestions. Actually, Big Chief, he's the one that kind of spurred my brain a little bit on doing this research. And he gave me some suggestions. And ironically, the suggestions that he gave me were almost exactly to what 10 Soldiers, Jason Terrell and them, recommend. The only real difference is Jason Terrell and 10 Soldiers, they don't really take into account that bar spread as much as, you know, the instant center, you know, location. And so generally on a radial car, you want a real wide bar spread back here in the back. Let's think about the way this thing rotates. When the rear end, when it starts to rotate, when you hit it and it starts twisting, that bottom bar is pushing and the top bar is pulling. So the further, and this is all theory, this is all I'm still learning now, so I may correct me if I'm wrong, but the further away that these points are from that axle center line, you see the top one is in the top hole and the bottom one is in the bottom hole right now. But you see there's not much top angle, bar angle. But what happens is the further it is away from the axle center line, the more little movement out here creates big movements to the chassis. And so, I don't know if y'all noticed, on all of my old cars, on all the cars I've ever had, I've always had maximum bar spread. I've always had it in the top hole and in the bottom hole for the most part. And every one of my cars, when you snap the trans brake button, the first move is always, it drives the tire to the ground. And so it separates the actual rear end from the actual chassis. And then if it's way below 100% ass squat, then it would squat down and go. But the first movement was always it actually separating. I think that's the reason why, is because of the bar spread that I've always run. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to tighten that up. Some people, it seems like somewhere between 11 and 12 inches. I read a bunch in, like I said, door slammer stuff. And some of the door slammer stuff, they actually talk about like 9-inch spread. And if you think about a ladder bar, on the spread on a ladder bar, that top bar is really close to the housing. So there's not much there. And luckily these 10 Soldiers brackets, these 10 Soldier rear end is gangster, and we've got a lot of adjustability. So let's get this thing up on the lift. First thing we're going to do is check for bind. When we don't see any bind, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to probably change the back springs. If this articulates good, then we're going to throw it on the scales, and with this weight in the back. You know how disgusting it is to have all this carbon fiber back here, carbon fiber everywhere, super light chassis car, and now I got the possibility, the probability that I might have to add 200 pounds, 250 pounds. It depends on how nose heavy it is, and there'll be a lot of people in the comments saying adding weight is a crutch. You know, it is what it is. Make the chassis work. Well, I mean, sometimes you got to have weight to make the chassis work. So it is what it is. We got to have a functioning race car that will actually work and actually make the trips. If that means we got to add weight, we're going to add weight. I was talking to Hayden Wilson the other night too, and you know, we were talking about percentages and weights, and it's so ironic, so funny that I'm pretty sure this one's going to be about 58% on the nose. And as we were typing, I was like, man, I'm an idiot. I'm a clown. There's no way that I would ever, the first thing anybody would ever tell me, if it's 58% on the nose, I don't care how long the drive shaft is, I don't care how anything is. If it's 58% on the nose, it ain't going to work. I would say you got to add weight to the back. And here I am resisting putting weight on the back of my car because I'm a freaking idiot. All right, guys, so we got Randy's scales here. So zero these bad boys out. And basically, we're just going to do it over here without putting it on the lift because I need the door and stuff on it to be able to set it down on there. Okay, yeah, go ahead and we'll set it down on there, and we'll show you what the back weighs right now. All right. So that's what she weighs right now on the back. Almost 1,100 pounds. That's kind of what I was thinking. So with 2,600 pounds, we'll jack this up and put it, see what it is. All right, guys, so the limiter's just hit, and we were just looking. This weight, as he's jacking it, is going up, up, up. So with the front wheels on the ground, it was 1,350 on the back. So it gained a couple hundred pounds. Okay, well, y'all get in the comments. Y'all guess what kind of percentage we're going to have. Hold on. So right now, without me in it, it's 2453. Let me hop in it real fast.
2736, 2739.
What does it say front and back percentage?
Front 54%.
How much?
54.
Okay, so adding 150 makes 54. What's the wheel weights look like individually?
Let's see. Left front 782, right front 693, left rear 652, right rear 607. It's about 50 pounds per side of the road.
Guys, well, there we go. So this is the permanent home of these two weights, most likely. And the two on the bottom, these are the same weight. So if we have a race where we want to be 54%, like if we're doing like a real good front side where it's really, really sticky, we might take the ones out of the bottom. Okay, let's put the deck lid back on it real fast, and then we're going to hop me back in it. And we should hopefully be about 51%-ish, 50 to 51 on the nose.
Can you see it?
What does that say?
51%.
51? Okay. What is the total weight?
2844.
2850 essentially. What about the back light side to side on the back wheels?
Left rear 720, right rear 673, so about 45 pounds.
Okay, so we're still good there. Heck yeah, all right, that's race weight right there, baby. All right, guys. So Brandon, and Brandon and Jim are over here. So this is the weight we put under at the track. So now what we have done, you notice we have no springs. This is from running a very light spring. It just erodes away. So now what we're going to do, who wants to run this up? Just turn that and make it go up. So basically we're just going to try to bottom this out without picking the car up. It should go right up, and that's full hanging right there. And so it was, oh, we wiped it off when we were messing with, oh, we compressed it in. Yeah. There was a shock line, a dirt line from earlier. But basically we want to make sure this just bottoms out and goes all the way up without actually binding on any of the chassis stuff. So we're fixing to see. Feeling any additional resistance?
It's smooth. Other than it's a little off center, it's probably gonna work a little, but.
And I had to put it off center because of this hanging down. So
but even still, it's not.
Yeah.
It's really smooth, actually.
So we should be able to bottom that anti-roll bar. Should be able to go all the way. Actually, it's going to bottom the shock first, most likely. Should. Looks like it's still articulating good, though. Shocks are on full loose. We went ahead and loosened up the low speeds and the high speeds, so they're on full loose. The shocks do not appear to be blowed out, that we can tell. Getting harder? About the same?
Just making sure we're staying on the
lift. Okay. Making sure we ain't, yeah. If we pick the lift up, we got a problem. That means there's bind. It looks like it's going right up though.
Yeah. Yeah, it's on just the very outside of that bar.
Yeah, it ain't moving off.
Might be getting close. Starting to get hard to move now.
It's getting harder to move? Yeah. No, is that the...
It might be this.
I was going to say, is it that?
I don't know if it's been unscrewed this far in a while.
Right? I mean, because it's not picking up the back of the car any at all. I mean, it looks like it's still moving easy. We might need to lubricate that part. Yeah, hell, I don't even know how high it goes.
I don't either.
Oh my goodness. If that thing, no, it'll fall 2 shocks. Okay, we're almost done. All right, so it appears we don't have anything binding. So we're going to look it over real good, real tight, and hang on. All right, guys, so we have fully compressed the shocks. There is no binding back here. There's nothing binding up. And our roll bar link, nothing is hitting. You can see that up there. Wishbone is nice and clear. It's lubricated. If we had the shock sensor on it, it would still not be bottomed out. So that would still be working properly. But check out the ride height though, from over here. Dude, that right there, Randy would love that ride height right there, son. And Courtney, oh my goodness. But we have a slight problem with the ride height that low. If you look, the bottom of the tire, the chassis. Oh, dude, that's what, yes. That we would 100% be, that would be doing the grind. What do they call it? Chassis grind?
Yeah, just drag.
Okay. So,
put some bags on it.
All right, so we're going to do some math real fast and figure which spring we want on it. We want spring, we got a choice between a 60, a 95, and 110, and 150, and 175. I brought all my springs with me. I just threw them all in the car. So let's do some math real fast. We know what the back of the car weighs, and we know it's a 14-inch spring. So we're going to stretch this out and measure from cup to cup, and then we'll figure out how much we want that to compress. We want it basically to compress about halfway. And so let's try that. So we may have had too much spring, but I'm thinking when we're talking about chassis spread earlier, when you look at the chassis spread, obviously this is not ride height, but look how far the bottom and the top is apart. When you do the math on it, I think we were like 15 inches away from each other. So we're gonna mess with that.
Top and the very bottom hole.
Okay, so Brandon just measured it. What is it from the top to the bottom?
It's 14 1/4, but it's in the very top hole and very bottom hole.
Yeah, so and so we want to shrink that out somewhere between 11 and 12 inches. And like we were talking about, the further it is away, and the top, I don't know which one. I don't know, since it's an unequal length, which one would be more significant as far as chassis movement. So yeah, okay, we're gonna play with it here in a second. I'll let you know what we end up. All right, guys, so we went with the 95-pound shock springs. These are 1495s, 14 HT095B. You can't really read it. I put mine upside down. There you go. But so they should compress a little bit over 7 inches. So that's a 7-inch stroke shock. So we will probably have to play with this some. What I did is I put some preload on this. I did 4 turns. Actually, think about it, I need to do another turn, 5 turns. And then once we get basically the preload of the spring where we want it, we want this to come down to where we're about right here. We want this to be about in the middle in this scenario. And then we got, once you do that, then you check ride height. If ride height is not where you want it, then you move it on here, and then you don't ever mess with this again. So the preload, that's how we check that. So we're gonna set it down on these blocks. Courtney is building these blocks. Go check him out, the Paint and Paper Hustle, or follow him on like Facebook. I think, how much you say, 125 bucks for those blocks?
Yeah, I think they're 125.
125?
No shipping.
No shipping, he is not shipping. They're a little heavy. But he is making crib blocks, which is actually, these things are pretty handy.
Oh yeah, we use them every day.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing how much it makes. So, all right, let's stick this on the blocks real fast, and then we'll check the bar angles, and I'll show you what we're going to do there. All right, guys, so we got ride height where we want it. Hey, check this out. Go press on that parachute mount. Look at there. Would you look at there, guys? Would you look at there? It actually is working. Now, we did that at the track, and it had the 110 springs on the back, and it would not do that at all. It wouldn't move. It was like bound up, and it was because we didn't have enough weight on it. So now I think we got the right amount of weight, and if you look at the shaft, we got the right amount of shaft showing. Ride height is about where we want it. So now we're going to play with the bar angles, and we're going to give it a little bit more pinion angle too. It doesn't have quite enough pinion angle, we think, but now I think we're on to something here. The front's not settled down. You have to push down on the front to get it to do what it's supposed to. We got these light springs, like I was saying, from Jeff on it, but when we push down on the front, which I can't grab it right now, that'll compress and get even. So we're gonna mess with bar angles. Again, we're gonna measure it all out, and we're going to make a change. I'll show you where it's at. Right now, the bar angles, actually we need to measure this again right here. Hold on. In YouTube world, that was like 2 seconds. In real world, my feet are asleep, my legs are numb, because we've been sitting on our butts on the concrete for about 30 minutes. You okay? He's okay. That's the benefit of being slender. Us fat dudes. Oh boy, yeah, we struggling. My legs now. My feet are tingling. They were seriously asleep. Okay, so we're going to be at 93%, 58 long, 10 high. We're shortening the spread in the back, and we're changing all the bar angles, and I think that's going to be our starting point. So we're going to do that real quick. Hang on. All right, guys, so Uncle Mike just cut us an access panel for our brake adjuster. So he's going to have to put us a little plate over that so we can adjust. We just adjust the brake bias. It's got this brake bar, bias pedal bar, whatever they call it, and we couldn't quite get to it, so we're going to just put a little patch panel of aluminum over that, and then that way if we need to adjust it, we can. It was just a little too much braking on the back, which we also didn't have much weight in the back, so that's one of the things. So Courtney just got over here, Mike's over here. What are you doing, bud? Nothing.
Listening to y'all argue about jam nuts.
Yeah, it's got jam nuts. So we got us sitting on the ground. Battery's in there charging. It's low, guys. I mean, it is low. But we may end up having to raise it up just a little bit in the back to get it exactly where we want. But when you look at the shocks, I don't know if you can see that or not, but there's about 3 inches of shaft showing out of it. So I think we're good there. So when you step on it, you see this? Now the shock is actually moving the car, and it is moving like it's supposed to. So I think we're going to be hopefully in good shape. We'll see. Hang on. All right, guys. So we're working on it. Randy's over here too. We got everybody over here. Appreciate everybody coming over early today. I cut out of work early. Randy, what you working on? You working on any hot rod stuff over there that you can tell us about?
Got some top secret stuff.
But you can't tell us about it.
No, I can't tell you about it.
Guys, well, we're wrapping up for tonight. So we've got the shocks on 5 and 5 now. And so check this out. We got movement. We got movement both ways. So now we are, I think we're in business. I think there was a whole combination of stuff that was wrong. and affecting it. But I think the biggest thing is the weight. The weight, the bias, 58% is essentially 57% what we were with no weight in the car. And that's a radial prep car. That's radials. So that ain't going to never work on slicks. So on a very, very, very good front side, we might try it again, taking some of this weight out. And that'll put us at 54%. But we'll have to see. We're going to leave it this low right now. Like I was saying, nothing is binding up. And I mean, the car is low, low, low. But the suspension articulates right there. So I think we're going to be okay. I think. But, you know, I don't know. It could be wrong. It could be wrong. All right, guys. Well, I guess we are done for the day. I appreciate everybody coming over and helping. Uncle Mike, Courtney, Brandon, Randy, and Brad. All the bees. Brandon, all the bees. All the big bees. So we're ready to go test. Uncle Mike got us our panel put back in there. Man, you can't even see that. It looks nice. Looks good. Good job, sir.
Only thing I did tonight.
Well, that's fine. You had some stuff you had to attend. We were under the car sweating. He said, I ain't getting under the car no more.
Y'all got enough out of me Saturday night.
Next time we're in the grass, though, we are 100% going to put down the pit mat. What do you think?
Yeah. No ant bites. I got ant bites everywhere.
Pit mat for the win. All right, guys. So we think we got it fixed. We don't know if we got it fixed or not. We don't know what was really wrong. But we know we changed a bunch. And now the back of the car seems much more freer. So we're going to try it, see what happens. All right, guys. Comment, like, and subscribe. See y'all.